All right, so I want to tell you a quick story. All right, so I want to tell you a quick story. Not a dramatic one or a movie moment, just one of those normal conversations that randomly follows you home. So I was catching up with somebody that I've known for years. We were talking about work, life, routines, all the usual adult type of stuff. And at some point, my friend says, I'm not happy, but I also don't remember choosing any of this. And it's not in like a depressed way, more like confused. Like he woke up inside a life that makes sense on paper, but doesn't feel like his per se. And the more I sat with that, the more I realized that the sentence is basically the thesis for our entire generation because most people don't ruin their lives by making one horrible decision. They drift, they follow prompts, accept defaults, and then one way they look around and realize they've been playing a game they never really agreed to. And that's why the default trap is sneaky because it's fine. The crazy part is the default path isn't always bad, and I feel like that's what makes it dangerous. It's usually fine. The job pays, the city is okay, the relationship is decent, the routine works, so nothing really screams leave, but also nothing screams this is my dream. And when a life is assembled through just fine, it can take years before you notice the quiet costs. The fact that you become a professional at being busy, but you're not really becoming a specialist at being you at that point. So try to think about it like this. Imagine life is kind of like a phone, and most people are walking around using a version that came pre-installed, the same exact apps, the same default settings, everything easy, same notifications, same algorithm telling them exactly what matters. And if you never change the settings, then the phone will still work, but it starts running your life. Like your calendar becomes your boss, your feed becomes your beliefs, your environment becomes your future, your default becomes your destiny. And that's just how defaults work because they're so powerful for one reason. They require zero energy, and we as a collective enjoy anything that requires zero energy. And picture this for me real quick. I'm gonna try to explain it a different way. Like a baby elephant is walking with the herd. Just imagine this. Rock with me on this one. They're moving across dry land, following a path that they've walked 1,000 times. The herd knows where the water hole is, but the baby doesn't. So the baby just follows. And that's not dumb, but here's the catch, because at some point there's a fork in the road, a small one that's very easy to miss. One path is the normal route, safe, known, predictable, and the other is less obvious. It's longer, unfamiliar, maybe risky, but it leads to a watering hole nobody in the herd uses anymore. But with that, there's more space, less competition, and better resources. But the baby elephant doesn't even see the fork at first. Doesn't because when you're in the herd, you're trained to trust the movement. You're trained to believe if everybody's doing it, it must be right. And honestly, most of the time that is true. But sometimes the herd is just repeating an old route because it's what they've always done. And if the baby never looks up and notices the fork, it will still get water like it wanted to, but it'll never know what else was possible. And that's the trap. It's not that the herd hates you, it's just that the herd isn't optimized for your specific dream. It's optimized for survival. And I feel like that's what people miss. That most of your early life choices aren't really quote unquote choices. They're options presented to you by family, so your school, environment, culture, whatever was visible, rewarded, and felt safe. And if you don't pause and then purposefully design your own path, then the path designs you. Your career has a default, the city has a default, lifestyle, beliefs, even ambition has a default. And that's why you can work hard and still feel off because you're grinding, but you're grinding on someone else's route to the watering hole. And it is hard to notice. Um, but it's just the case that a default doesn't work if you don't notice it. That's literally the whole point. The moment you see the setting, you can change it. But if you never see it, you gotta live inside it. And the default feels like normal, not a choice. So people don't really question it, not because they're weak, but because they're busy. And busy is the strongest sedative because busy keeps you moving with the herd. Yet, a lot of people aren't living bad lives, they're just living unexamined ones. And an unexamined life is basically just a series of suggested actions you've never actually challenged. Like go to college, pick a practical major, take the job that recruited on campus, move to where the job is, climb, buy, settle, repeat. And then one day, you're like, how did I get there? And that question, at least to me, is a sign that you didn't really choose it on your own. And that's where pursuing your dreams actually becomes non-negotiable. Because in my opinion, dreams aren't just cute. To me, they're the antidote to defaults. At least they have been to mine. A dream is the one thing that forces you to do something different on purpose. It forces you to stop asking, what should I do next? And start asking, what do I actually want to build? And and yeah, dreams take time, effort, energy, but here's the truth about it all. Dreams are expensive, but defaults are expensive too. The difference is the dream costs you up front and the default costs you later. And as we all know, the later is usually more painful every single time. I'm gonna say something I really believe, and it's the fact that luck is real, but it's also trainable, in my opinion. Luck is what happens when you show up where opportunity can find you. You take shots, meet people, build representation, and keep moving towards something that matters. Yet the default is the same route, the same circle, same inputs, and you're most likely going to get the same output. And then we're confused why something never actually breaks out in our way. But of course it doesn't because we're not putting ourselves near the watering hole they didn't even know existed. The baby elephant doesn't just get lucky by standing on the same trail forever. It gets lucky by noticing the fork in the road and being willing to explore. However, the non-default feels scary, and this is social biology. It feels like social danger because we're wired to belong, and belonging often comes with an unspoken contract. Do what makes sense to us and will keep you safe. So when you question the default, it can feel like you're threatening the contract in a way. And people might not understand, parents may worry, friends might project their feelings, not because they want you to fail, but because they're protecting the herd. And the herd thinks the main trail is safety, even if it's not the best trail for you specifically. And to me, a simple way to kind of like think about this is I would say I call it the default audit. So you notice, which leads to questions, which leads to choosing, and then compounding. So where you're try and think about where you're running on inherited settings, whether it's the city, relationships, lifestyle, beliefs. Look for the phrases that just happen. That's what people do. Those are the real tells that you should be paying attention to. And when it comes to the questions, ask these three questions. If nobody could judge me, would I still pick this? If I could start over tomorrow, what would I or would I rebuild this? And if this stayed the same for 10 years, would I be proud or would I be numb to the feeling? Then you got to choose. You got to keep it, tweak it, or exit it if it's actively moving away from your dream. And lastly, the compound. And this is the key because it's consistent effort. You don't just escape the default trap one time. You got to build a habit of waking up. And the goal isn't to be a contrarian. Like, let me be very clear now. Choosing consciously doesn't mean rejecting the conventional path. Sometimes the default is actually perfect for you. And that's completely cool. But the difference is ownership, and that alone changes everything. Because when you choose your life, even the hard parts feel meaningful. And but when you inherit your life, even the good parts can feel sort of hollow. And the defaults, they're optimizing for approval, predictability, but the dreams are optimizing for aliveness, alignment, growth, self-respect, impact. Um, and the cost of dreams, like in all actuality, is uncertainty. Yet the cost of defaults is regret. Got to pick your cost, and even if it's the default one, that's okay too if that's truly what you're happy with. I'd love for you to challenge that thought, honestly, but it is your decision at the end of the day. So, so yeah, if you're worried that you really might be drifting into someone else's life, don't ask, do I need to change everything? Ask, what is one default that I'm following that I could actually make conscious moves away from this month? Not blow up, not dramatic rebellion, just noticing one fork, picking one decision, and then start building momentum. And that momentum is where luck's gonna find you. Just by creating conditions where luck can find you back. Because you don't find your dream life, you're having to manufacture those conditions where it can come to you. And just a question to you, if you weren't trying to make your life make sense to other people, what would you choose next? And if you want, drop three to five messy lines about your own trap, your own defaults, whether it's your career, city, routine, anything, and I'll talk through it with you. Find the first fork, or at least like try and help you find the first fork. So follow, subscribe if you want to keep on building with me over time, because this is one of the topics where the more you wake up, the more your whole life starts compounding in the right direction. So yeah, that was a big yap session, but hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you.